Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. My speech tonight is on my communication style, which I'm hoping will benefit some of you in how you look at developing your communication styles. I had never spoken publicly until I was on the police department. And the first time I spoke publicly was in an audience of about 200 other policemen that were all supposedly experts in their fields, and I was there to tell them how to do their jobs. So it put me into quite a position. So the most important thing for me at that particular time was just being confident. You have to know your stuff. You want to make sure that when you're making your presentations, that the information you're providing is accurate, because that's going to build your credibility. There's nothing worse than having or saying something that is wrong and somebody points that out, whether it's right away or whether it's afterwards, doesn't matter, because that's going to destroy your credibility. And there's certain things that when you're discussing them or you're trying to teach people, you cannot be wrong on certain subjects. You have to be 100% accurate. So that's really important. Now, what I also found was the use of humor when you're making different presentations. Because I think you can make pretty much any audience laugh. And I would say if you're in a room and you can't make anybody laugh or smile, or it might be an idea to let your pager go off and run out of the room. And for those of you who don't know what a pager is, it was a little electronic device before cell phones that would beep really loud so that you could look at your message and say, hey, I gotta go. I'm out of here. So it was one way to kind of save yourself. But the use of humor, it does lighten the atmosphere. And it'll also help people remember you. Because if you can make people laugh, then they see you somewhere else at some future date. They'll go, hey, I remember you. So, that's really good. Other things, you can tell stories. And if you've got the personal experiences where you can just relate things to people, then that goes a long way, because number one, you're going to be accurate because it's your story. You were involved in it. If it's something that you're just making up, then you might want to think twice depending on the crowd. Or if you're in an audience or speaking to an audience where it's all fiction writers, tell whatever you want. You can make up whatever story you want. And one of the funny stories that I can share with everybody here is back in 1998, I was at the 50th anniversary of the Hells Angels down in California at their big party. And they went out into a public place. They went down to their local city hall to take their club photograph. While they were all lining up, I just kind of snuck into the crowd, the whole group of them, and I've got a big police across my shirt. I was in their official club photo. Now, wasn't maybe the best thing to do, because it did kind of put a target on my back. But what ended up happening is when they saw the photograph, they weren't really impressed because they had to go do another one, and it had to be somewhere private. But they did manage to find out what I was driving, my rental car. And when I went out one morning before I left, somebody had taken a Vulcan hammer, and if you know what that is, it's got a little round end on it. There wasn't a square inch of that card that wasn't dented. So they really beat up the card. I think that was their message, just to stay out of their photos. But there was a few other stories that I could tell about that trip, but I better not. There was things that happened that were amusing, and oddly enough, the only guys that got into trouble down there were the Canadians. So go figure. But other things you can use, and one of the things I used to use a lot was slideshows. Slideshows really help. You know, when you have visual presentations, if you want to add a video into your presentation, you want to add photographs in, it works really well, and those are the things that people remember. Back in my day when I was giving those lectures and training people, I used a laser pointer to point out certain things, so you didn't have to run all over the stage and try and explain on the screen, look up here, you could just point and people would see it. Now with the computers, you can use your mouse, you can use all kinds of things. But that keeps the audience engaged and asking questions like Kim did earlier tonight. Ask the audience questions or take questions from the audience. That's a really good way to help you with your speech, depending what your presentation's all about. So the key things that I found were having confidence in what you're speaking about. Using facts. Keep things factual and truthful, so that nobody can attack your credibility. The use of humor, you can tell a story, and don't forget you've got a lot of other things that you can use to help with your presentation, like visual aids. And that is my communication style.